the speakers list, Daniel Ablisser, and we need a minute to connect on that.
Good evening, Daniel speaking.
Unknown participant is now joining.
You have one person on the speakers list.
Hello?
Daniel Ablisser.
Hello? Hold on. Hello?
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 Go
Hello?
ahead. You have 5 minutes for your presentation.
Oh, sorry, that didn't work there. Okay, I apologize. I come before you today by telephone because you have decided to have an illegal meeting. The decision you made to ban the public is an express violation of your statutory governing authority. Section 207 of the Education Act states that meetings of the board and committees shall be open to the public, and no person shall be excluded from a meeting that is open to the public except for improper conduct. Some may try to advance a creative argument that allowing the public to watch via YouTube meets your obligation. That flies in the face of the plain language of Section 207 and the concept of excluding no person except for improper conduct. However, if there was any doubt, OREG 46397 of the Education Act states, the meeting room of the board or of a committee of the board, as the case may be, shall be open to permit physical attendance by members of the public at every meeting of the board or of a committee of the board. So my question for the board is, when you made this decision, did you not know or did you not care? What possible interpretation could lead you to believe that permitting physical attendance in the meeting room by members of the public can be achieved by allowing the public to watch on YouTube while you meet behind locked doors? If a grade 10 civics student thought YouTube would suffice for your statutory obligations, they should fail their class. I also question on what basis you apparently met in camera 2 weeks ago to make this decision. Again, Section 207 requires all of your meetings, including committee meetings, to be in public, with very limited exceptions in Section 207, sub 2 of the Education Act, none of which seem to apply here. I can expand on that more if you would like. As a board, you're a creature of statute. You have no greater ability to ignore your statutory obligations, as you have done here, than to ignore quorum obligations. You have no greater right to decide that you can publish meetings on YouTube and bar public attendance than you do to decide that you're going to do away with elections entirely and re-elect yourselves based on a Facebook poll. In my view, your actions also constitute breach of your charter obligations. You're infringing on both the protected rights of peaceful assembly and freedom of expression. Members of the public may want to show their support for a cause or speaker by attending in your audience so that they can be seen without speaking. You have taken away that right. I can give you recent local examples where groups have taken that approach. That's fundamentally why the governing legislation so expressly protects the public's right to attend in person. The democratic principle of public attendance goes back 3,000 years. I've personally visited legislative bodies around the world to witness governing in action. The places that do not allow the public to witness democracy in action in person are totalitarian states like China. Part of your obligation as elected officials is to look the audience in the eye when you make decisions affecting them. You have every right not to agree with your audience, but you do not get to hide from the heat of their angry glares. Again, that is what dictators in totalitarian states get to do, not leaders in a democracy. You may not like the heat in the room when you cast an unpopular decision, but facing the heat is a fundamental part of the process. And it matters. Again, I can give you local examples where votes change, often in line with what progressive audiences wanted because of the heat of the audience in the room. Some have claimed that a safety concern gives you the right to ignore your statutory meeting obligations. That's a red herring, and I'll expand on that if you have questions or time permits. I'm deeply concerned that what is going on here is a harbinger of undemocratic things to come. You may be looking to bar one of your own duly elected members from your chamber and want the public out of the way before you attempt that. I would implore you to undo the mess you've created, adjourn the meeting immediately, revoke any decisions that you have made during your illegal meeting today, and return to regular order tomorrow with the meeting open to the public. You may not want to open the Pandora's box by making decisions at an illegally constituted meeting and doing away with 3,000-year-old democratic principles. Some brief other notes. You passed a budget today behind locked doors. The YouTube video didn't even show all trustees during the vote. Does the public have to wait until October until we know how trustees voted on arguably the most important vote you cast annually? Audience members can see crosstalk and body language in the room that they cannot see on YouTube. It's part of the reason personal attendance is protected. Try watching your own video or attending a council meeting and then watching it online. What you see in the camera feed in the room are different. I cannot even see the audience as I'm presenting right now. Briefly, I want to touch on the safety red herring. Your statutory mandate doesn't give you the discretion that you have given yourselves. You're certainly free to have disruptive individuals removed. You cannot ban the public en masse. If you don't like that, you're free to send a letter to the Minister of Education asking your governing legislation be changed. You simply cannot ignore your statutory obligation. If you had a serious threat to public safety, you would call the police. I would be remiss to note that you may be sheepish about doing that, given that a few months ago you had a debate on banning the police from schools. Asking them now to keep you safe might seem ironic, if not hypocritical. If the police believe there's a serious threat, the police will attend your meetings, as they have done at school board meetings elsewhere. It seems to me that what we may really be dealing with is your emotional safety by being faced with an audience whose views you find unacceptable. With respect, that doesn't cut it. If
Could
there
you
was
wrap up,
real
please,
safety-
Mr. Ablisher? Your
I've
time is up.
I've got 20 seconds left. If there was a real safety threat that you couldn't control with the public, the concept of meeting in an office building with a dangerous mob outside who would commit crimes and physically harm you if they were in the room, but to which you will be safe with glass windows keeping them out of the building, frankly doesn't make any sense. The EA regulation requires the public must be allowed in the meeting room, but allows for hybrid attendance for staff and other trustees. If you had a real physical safety threat, why isn't that occurring? I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Do trustees have any questions for clarification? Trustee Chin, for clarification only. If there's something you didn't understand.
Yeah, actually, it's not quite clear, and I didn't follow all. So I do have question. We have live video to watch by the public. So why do you still think that it's important to come to the boardroom in person? Could you clarify that? Because it was so quick, I didn't get what you mean. Thank you.
I think that was the whole
Yeah, I think-
5-minute presentation.
Yeah,
Trustee
but
Chin.
that's my question.
So I don't think that
Thank
can
you.
be summarized.
Yeah, he
in
can
one
summarize.
sentence, so.
He does not have to, maybe 1 minute. Thank you.
Well, do you want me to just address why YouTube doesn't suffice?
Pardon?
No, Trustee Chin, maybe Mr. Ablisher can send you an email with his presentation, and then you could read it, okay? Mr. Ablisher, could you do that? Send your presentation to Trustee
Yeah,
Chin.
I guess.
Thank you.
I mean, if
Thank
the
you.
question is why does YouTube not suffice, I can summarize that.
Are there any other questions for clarification? Thank you. New business. Items L, what did I forget now?
Nothing, I just